So my role is to introduce the project, not to tell you anything about the results, but to introduce it and to keep to time. Just in case, there's a small possibility that people are in the wrong room. If you're looking for him, he's not here. And yeah. So accidental awareness during general anaesthesia in the UK and Ireland, the whole of Ireland. You have had the programme, the timelines are tight. We hope that every speaker, starting with me, will keep to time. I'm not very good at that. There are no questions at the end of each presentation, but there's ample time for questions and discussion, which I hope there will be throughout the day. There are also watering breaks, or hydration breaks, as the England cricket team would now call them. We need to keep to time with those as well to get through what we have to get done. Everything's available online in glorious green Technicolor. Feel free to dip in. I'm immensely grateful to the presidents for being here. I'm immensely grateful for them engaging with each other and ensuring that their organisations played nicely throughout the whole of this project to bring this together. And for the first time for Anaesthesia UK to be represented in this important and, as Will said, incredibly patient-facing project. A few other thanks. Maddie, who's been the coordinator at the college, and Mary and Sharon, who've done great supportive work as well at the college. Anna, who is the person who's done all the design. You can see from what she looks like, she's good at doing design, and has made the report look as good as it does. Thank you to her. And to Sonia and Nicole, who've been involved at the college and the association with media, and they've both done a great job. Of course, as JP said, thank you to patients, but thank you to everybody here and to all UK anaesthetists and Irish anaesthetists. Without the immense involvement of the profession, the NAPs are nothing. And the work is down to you. We get people standing up here and presenting things, but actually, the projects are nothing without the immense collaboration. Finally, I think in terms of thanks, the panel. We have here, 18 members of the panel who worked incredibly hard. And this panel work, it's not a jolly down in London. It is in London, but it's not a jolly. It's hard work over a period of 18 months, reviewing cases and writing the project. And I thank them all. There were numerous discussions, some of which were heated, but all good work. And I hope that the result of it will be useful to you. So protocol and methods, it has Jaydeep's and my name at the front of the chapter, but actually all the chapters are a collaboration. They've all been seen by everybody and essentially agreed by consensus. What have we done? Jaydeep was appointed now almost 4 years ago, getting on for 4 years ago. There's a year of planning, there's a year of data collection, and then there's been a little bit more than a year of analysis, synthesis, publication, and we're now today at dissemination. Implementation to follow. There have been a number of work streams, and this NAP has expanded geographically and in its timeline, and in all ways it's bigger and fatter and better than before. We're through most of those work streams. You'll see at the bottom there's a psychological follow-up, and interestingly in the middle in brackets there we've got SNAP 1, we've got the Bryce Day, and in the next few months we'll be hearing more about that from Ramani and her team, filling in that gap between our patient reports and then that cohort of patients who were questioned after surgery to see what the Bryce questionnaire told about that cohort in the UK in 2014. The methods for NAP4 are broadly based on NAP3 and NAP4, and I'm not going to go over those again, but all UK hospitals, the vast majority of anaesthetists contributing in some way. It's a service evaluation. The name audit is misplaced. It's a service evaluation, but they're the NAPs and will remain the NAPs. New for NAP5, the inclusion of Ireland in association with the College of Ireland and through the auspices of the association. For the first time, we've picked up on the UCOS style of negative reporting. So local coordinators, and I'm sure many of you will be local coordinators, big thanks to you, will have been involved not only in telling us when we had a case when you had a case that you wished to report every month, but also every month telling us that you didn't have a case, and therefore reducing the uncertainty in our numerator. And as I said, the collaboration of the two great organs. Hopefully you'll remember filling in a baseline survey, and as local coordinators filling in the departmental forms, which gave us some information about what anaesthetists knew about awareness in their practice. We had replies from more than 90% of all UK senior anaesthetists and from all hospitals. Published uniquely at that time, both in the BJA and Anaesthesia, and those are essentially the broad results of that, 150 odd cases, a low incidence of reports known to us, very limited use of depth of anaesthesia monitoring, around about 3 or 4%, and very few departments having pathways for care. Reported widely because of BBC Health, a reassuring headline, more reassuring than today's headlines from the BBC, and then a less reassuring one from the Mail Online. The same report. My personal view is that both are entirely acceptable, and I think, the point that, as Will made, you either are aware or you're not aware. I think we're looking at the report from two ends of the stethoscope, telescope even, and I think they're perfectly valid. Happy to discuss either of them. We then needed a denominator for NAP5, and so we've done a very extensive UK activity survey. Again, anaesthetists are fantastic at getting this stuff done. I don't think other specialties can do it. 100% of hospitals returning, about 96% overall returns, more than 20,000 cases, and already online, in print, I think in the next month, we have the NAP5 denominator, which we've called the State of UK Anaesthesia, what we do, when we do it, where we do it. And I think that's a treasure trove for people in the future. And I've mentioned Bryce already. So onto the project itself, and really I'm just going to talk about the classifications of what we've done. So what are our inclusion criteria? A new patient report made in that year of a patient experience of awareness when they expected to be unconscious. Now, this initially caused some consternation. Could this be a patient who'd been sedated? Yes, we wanted those patients. It's a patient-facing project. We included historical cases, shown in yellow, because some cases, because there's a delay in reporting a significant number of cases, about 25% of cases are reported a year after that they happened. So we wanted to capture those ones that had happened in the past in order to compensate for those that were missing that happened in our collection period, but we didn't hear about. We have the NAP Firewall. I'm not going to go through it in any detail, but essentially when someone reports a case to us at NAP 3, 4 or 5, you can guarantee that when we review it in the panel, we've no idea where it's come from or any doctors involved, any patients involved, etc., etc. And it's secure, secure, secure. The panel worked incredibly hard. Here they are at the association. It's not that they don't like each other, but this is two different groups working separately to review different cases. It's a heavy-hitting panel, I have to say. So chairing the panel for JD and for me on occasions, there are a lot of big opinions in there. Patient representatives, presidents, council members, editors, professors, etc., and multidisciplinary, and people worked hard. So, small group review, multiple small groups, there'd be 4 as a minimum, so I think I was taking a photograph while I was in the group, and then structured outputs, classification of the cases, so they're diced and sliced, and then the groups meeting together. So this was the output that we'd produce for each case. Each case would have, as well as the narrative and the baseline data, or the original data, would also have a significant output. We tried to take account of the fact that this is a retrospective review, and therefore be aware of, you can't compensate for, but be aware that we knew these were cases of bad outcome and hindsight bias. And also we try to avoid groupthink. People who have heard me mention this before. Groupthink involves, if you get a group of people reviewing a case, they quickly come to a consensus view. You take another view of similar professionals that review the same case, and they come to a consensus view. The two consensuses are often different. So we got small groups to review each case, and then they came together and moderated each other's opinions. So every case was reviewed at least twice. This is the sorting hat, JDeep's sorting hat, so that we have cases thrown in at the top and then they're sorted out. I think there's another word that JDeep uses for that particular vehicle, but it's the sorting hat, so that we can categorise the cases. And this is all novel for NAP5. This is a new way of classifying cases. So these are the types of awareness, and I won't go through them in great detail, but the main ones: certain or probable, possible. Those are the main ones that we were most focused on. There was a significant number after sedation, patients in ITU, but they're not really part of our denominator. And then a lot of cases we couldn't completely assess, and a small number that were unlikely to be awareness. For each case, as well as assessing what type of case it was, we assessed the evidence. Was the evidence for keeping it in or throwing it out or putting it in one particular pot high? So confirmable, circumstantial, plausible, just by the nature of the description, unconfirmed or implausible. We categorised the patient experience using the Michigan classification. You can read those for yourself, but essentially in increasing severity from no awareness, which was none of our cases, to paralysis and pain, and for each of those a D appended if there was associated distress. We used Michael Wang's classification also for patient experience, but the vast majority, because of the nature of the project, were categories 4 and 5, so that's awareness without psychological sequelae, or awareness with recall with psychological sequelae. We tried to ascertain the contributory and mitigating factors in the same way as we have done for NAP3 and NAP4, using the previously published MPSA classification, so we could try and work out why things were happening. We assessed the quality of care before awareness and after awareness, so how well was it managed afterwards, and preventability, using those categories. And we assessed the degree of harm. So this is the MPSA classification for degree of harm, which is used to investigate patient safety incidents. You'll notice it doesn't mention psychological harm at any point, so it was not usable for us. So Helen Torreville, who's a risk manager from, and I've forgotten, I think it's Bradford, Helen will correct me at some point, very kindly revised this, and so we have new definitions for psychological harm as a result of a patient incident, and these were the ones we used. So the most important ones: moderate harm, symptoms that have some impact on daily living, patient would have benefited from or has sought professional interventions, and then severe, a big impact on patient's life, really significant psychological harm, either long-term or permanent. So those are the forms we filled in at great length. There was lots of thinking, lots of discussion. It took a long time. There was waving of papers. And then we wrote it all up. And I take my hat off to JDeep, who is another person I have to thank. He's led this project with great vision and great candour and a great openness. And the writing was led by individuals, but was group work. So each chapter was written and then reviewed by the whole group. And therefore there's a considerable amount of collaboration into each chapter. I think that's me done. That's where we are. A structured, expert, dual consensus review with a structured output. It's a version of the truth, but it's not the truth.